there. Great afternoon, everybody. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. As you're coming in, say hello. Come on, as you're coming in, say hello. Happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. Come on in, come on in. Let's chat for a little bit today. Come on in. I want to talk to you just for a little bit. I know our time is a little different today. Yeah. Because I had a meeting and so we had to push it back. Hey, Bree, we had to push it back to 2:00, but we are here. We try our best not to miss our Tuesdays unless we have actually cleared off the whole week to rest. But come on in the room as you're coming in, like and share this. We want to talk today about being postured and positioned. So grab your friend, grab your neighbor, grab your coworker. Sit it to somebody, share it with somebody, but come on in the room. Let's chat for a moment. We are talking about being postured and positioned. Yep, being postured and positioned. And hey, cousin, how are you? And so those two things are sometimes, they're very much intertwined. But here's what I've been hearing. I hear a lot of people complaining about where they are. I hear a lot of people with the woe is me. Nobody, hey Janae, with nobody understands me. Nothing is going the way I want it to go. So many people complaining about it. And as I was praying, the Lord literally just started telling me, but most people that complain have not taken the time to actually examine their posture and their position. And so listen, let's look, I'm always about self-reflection and self-evaluation. A lot of the women that are in my Manifesting More with Dr. Vaughn, as well as my mentees, understand that I am very heavy on self-reflection and self-evaluation. Everything ain't everybody else. Sometimes you got to look at yourself. So listen, I like words. So let's jump right in. Posture. Listen to this. Posture. A particular way of dealing with or considering something. It's an approach or an attitude. It's an approach or an attitude. Posture, a particular way of dealing with or considering something. It's an approach or an attitude. But listen to what position is. Position is a particular way something is placed or arranged. A particular way something is placed or arranged. Listen to this. It's a situation or circumstance that affects one's power to act. And then thirdly, it's a state of being. So what are you saying, Dr. Vaughn? When I am beginning to evaluate my current state in life, where I am, my progress, and what I'm doing, I first need to understand, what is my approach? What is my attitude? What am I doing? How am I dealing with where I am? Because it matters how you're dealing with this situation. You can't expect God to open up a door and take you into a new situation full of prosperity and full of hopes and full of all of these things, but you can't even handle this current season well. You're not handling these circumstances well. So when we're talking about our posture, my question to you is, how are you dealing with the now? I know you're trying to get to the next. I know you're trying to get to the new, but how are you dealing with the now of things? And then when you go further with that, your position is how are you positioned? How are you placed? How are you arranged? And here's the dynamic to that. This means your mind, your body, and your spirit. We oftentimes want to focus on one, but if you want to be holistically healed, you got to focus on everything. So you can't sit up there and focus on your outer body and you're getting all, sexy, for hot girl summer, and you getting all beach ready and everything like that, but your mind jacked up and your emotions all over the place and your spirit uncertain being. So when we're talking about being postured, when we're talking about being positioned, here's the example I want to give to you. You want the promotion, but what are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing to posture yourself to be seen? What are you doing to position yourself to be one of the chosen ones? What are you doing? When you're talking about you want something, you got to do something. Somebody need to type, if I want it, I got to do something. If I want something, I have to do something. It's not just going to happen by osmosis, but many of us think that because we pray to God about 2, 3 times, then all of a sudden God's supposed to go here like a genie in a bottle and show up and answer and give us exactly what we want from him. But you have to realize your posture and your position matters. How can God give you what you want and your position ain't even aligned with what you're asking for? I'll say it again. How can God give you what you want, but your position and your posture ain't even aligned with what you're asking for? You want something from God, but what have you done to prepare for it? Mm. Okay. So let me ask you the question. This question might be a little heavy for you. Do you have the attitude of where you want to go or the attitude of where you've been? I'll ask you the question. Do you have the attitude of where you want to go, or you still got the attitude of where you've been? Mm, I want you to ask yourself that question. Do you have the attitude of where you want to go, or do you have the attitude of where you've been? I knew that this was confirmation when I was reading up on one of the prophets that I follow, and he said, you got to dress for the season you're entering, not the season you're leaving. I posted it today, Prophet Cooney. He literally said, you have to dress for the season you're entering, not the season you're leaving. Many of us are still postured in the last season. Many of us are still positioned in the last season. I said it on a reel earlier today. We have not revisited the dream. We have not revisited the vision. We have not revisited our goals. We are still dressed in the last season. We are still functioning in the last season. We are still operating in the last season. We're still acting like we're in the last season. You can't be postured and positioned on what had you bound and think God is going to release a harvest. You can't be yoked up by what was and think God is going to release. How can he connect you and pour something in you, but you got everything else filling you? God cannot pour into what is polluted. Okay. God cannot pour into what is polluted. So when I'm talking about I'm postured, when I'm talking about I'm positioned, there is some work that I got to do. I can't expect everybody around me to do it. We send up, we got all of these woe is me. We're telling all of our friends, don't nobody appreciate me. We're telling all of our friends, don't nobody love me. We're telling all of our friends that none of my initiatives seem to be working. We're telling all of our friends what I keep trying don't seem to be working. We're telling all of our friends, all of this is going wrong. I don't understand why I'm not loved. I don't understand why I'm not supported. I don't understand why I'm not doing this. But here's the dynamic. When is the last time that you sat in the mirror face to face with you, the purity of you, not the you attached to everybody else, the purity of you, and actually found out how you were aligned with what you're asking for? How are you aligned with what you're asking for? And it bothers me because we will sit there and we will cry, we will complain. I mean, we will bicker, we will complain. Then we will make excuses. After we complain, we make excuses. Then after we make excuses, now we're throwing up our hands. Well, I might as well not even try because it didn't even work. But the fact of the matter is, it's not that it didn't work. You never postured yourself to do it well. You never postured yourself to do it well. You wanted to do something quick. You wanted to do something because you were in competition. You wanted to, You wanted to do something because you were trying to prove a point. You wanted to do something because you wanted to prove them wrong, and you had the wrong motives. You had the wrong ideals. You had the wrong heart, and therefore you were not postured to actually manifest what you were asking God for. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. This got everything to do with you being postured and positioned. I just said it earlier. My posture is my approach. My posture is my attitude. My posture is the way I deal with something. And you have to realize, oh God, you have to realize that how you handle things. Oh, let me put a pin note here. And we got to stop piggybacking off of everything. We want to comment on everybody posts. We want to get up on everybody's thing. We want to tell everybody. And here's the thing: you're tagging and you're putting your stamp of approval on what somebody is posting, and they're posting it out of sympathy. They're posting it to try to get somebody to respond. You got to learn how to open up your eyes and see why people posting what they posted. We got to stop always, just because you know them, just because you hung out with them, just because they were nice in one season, don't mean that everything they post. You got to learn to see beyond what you see. Come on here, Zion. I can't hear nobody. You got to learn how to see beyond what you see. And too many of us are trying to be friendly with everybody else. We're trying to, condone and put our stamp of approval on everything. But everything that everybody posts don't deserve for you to comment. Everything that everybody posts don't deserve to be shared. Everything you have to understand when we talk about posture and position. We have to realize that some of the reasons why we are where we are is because we chose not to align. Some of us have to realize that we are where we are, and it's still tied to what held us captive. Oh God, let me lean in again. Our posture and our position is tied to what held us captive. So you can't go after the promotion because your mindset is still tied to when you lacked before. You can't enter into the new relationship because your posture and your position is still connected and tied to the abuse and the neglect and the abandonment from the last relationship. You can't enter into true friendship because your mindset, your attitude, your posture, and your position is still tied to what held you captive in the last season. But ladies and gentlemen, let me help you understand. You can't walk in two seasons at the same time. So you cannot walk in summer and spring at the same time. You cannot walk in winter and summer at the same time. You gotta walk when the calendar changes, when the season changes. You have no other choice but to step into the new season. If you are making a conscious decision, my God, today, if you are making a conscious decision to stay tied to what has held you captive, that's your choice. I have come to a place in my life where I no longer want to hear the sad sob story, especially not if we've been listening to it for 3, 4, 5, and 6 years. Because right now we have created spaces for you to heal, spaces for you to be free, spaces for you to break off. And then we can't get upset because somebody else decided to posture themselves and position themselves for what they were asking God for. Oh, my Savior God. Listen, I want so much so what God has allowed me to see with my spiritual eye that I am willing to do whatever He tells me to do to get to where He told me I'm going. That means sometimes I got to be uncomfortable. Okay, I can't hear nobody. I said, sometimes I got to be uncomfortable. Sometimes I got to stick out like a sore thumb. Sometimes I'm not going to be likable by everybody. Sometimes I'm not going to fit in with everybody. And guess what? That is okay. But when we're talking about being postured and positioned, this has to be an individual choice. You cannot, I say it again, you cannot keep blaming everybody else because you have not chosen your own freedom. You cannot keep blaming everybody else because you have not chosen your own healing. You cannot blame everybody else because they decided to posture and position themselves and you decided to stay stuck. You cannot be angry. And so let me free some of y'all. You can't carry people in this new season. They got to make a choice to go in this new season. Hello. I can't hear nobody but God. I said, you can't carry people into this new season. They got to be willing to go into this new season. And then you got to be okay if they choose not to. Oh, it's lonely out here. I said, you can't carry people into this new season. And you also got to be okay if they choose not to go. This season, this posture and position has to be intentional. Yeah, Deanna, I'm gonna make you a shirt that says "Pack Light" in this new season. I'm gonna make you a shirt that says "Pack Light." But you have to legitimately, you have to understand. You can't carry them. They have to make a conscious choice. But you gotta be okay in here. You gotta be okay in here if they don't go. Don't be mad. Don't have an attitude. Don't blow up. Don't be nasty. Just be okay. And keep moving. Look what it says. It says literally, your part of your position is understanding the situation or circumstance that affects how your power to act is. Some of you have to check your position because you've been acting the way you've been responding, the way you've been doing things. That's not a representation of where you want to go. That's not a representation of where you want to go. Your approach and your attitude matters in this season. Hey, Miss Charlene, how are you? Your approach and your attitude matters most in this season. How will you view and handle the shift if on the other side of the shift you got less than what you went into? Come on, God. How are you going to handle the shift if on the other side of shift you have less than what you went in with? And I mean less numerically. I don't mean less as far as substance. I mean less numerically. Come here, Gideon. Gideon, you started with a whole bunch of people. And God literally, though you were up against one of the fiercest armies that were already, when you started, they were already 5 times as large as you. And God literally still makes you go through a sifting before you can ever go to the battle. I hope somebody's hearing me. God made you go through a sifting before you could even go to the battle. Now, the end result, God already knew Gideon was going to win the battle, but he had to show Gideon that you have to allow me to give you what you need for the battle. Oh, I can't hear nobody but God. I said, you got to allow, God had to show Gideon, you have to allow me to show you what you need for the battle. Stop trying to tell God how to do his job. I can't lean on in. I said, stop trying to tell God how to do his job. He told Gideon, Gideon had a certain amount of men. Gideon already was feeling intimidated because he didn't have a lot of men to begin with. Then he literally told them, he said, those of you that are scared, send them home. I'm trying to help somebody. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying and not just hearing words. I want you to hear him say, those that are scared to go in the waters and tread the ground that God has ordained for you, let them go. Let them go. Those that are scared, he said, those that are scared, send them all home. Send them all home. But then he leads them down and he tells them, I actually need to sift you a little bit more. What do you do when you already feel like you've been sifted to the lowest common denominator? And God said, I got to sift you a little bit more. He tells them to go, now take them down to the brook. Take them down to the water. Those that lap water like a dog. He tells them, I'm about to sift you even more. So when he comes down, he does another sifting. And then after he does a sifting, he said, now take 300 and go. What? You've got to be kidding me. And so what we're talking about is we have to have a posture and position that, guess what? If they cannot go into this new season of where God is taking you, you got to be okay that they just can't go. It ain't got to be no bad blood. Ain't got to be no nastiness. Ain't got to be no negativity or whatever. You just got to stay focused on where you're going. You got to stay focused on where you're going, because here's the thing. This new season is about decision. If somebody wants to stay connected to what's made them bound, what can you do? If they want to stay connected to what continues to break their heart, what do you do? If they want to stay connected to what's draining their life source, what do you do? I'll say it again. I said it earlier. You cannot carry anybody into this new season. They got to want to go. They got to walk willingly. They got to want to go, because if you're going into this new season, you got to walk into this new season with what this new season requires. Oh, I can't hear nobody. I said, you got to walk into this new season with what this new season requires. And this new season, you can't go into this new season with excuses. You can't go into this new season with a victim mentality. You can't go into this new season not postured and positioned well. You can't go into this new season questioning whether or not, you're going to do this, that, or third. You gotta be certain. God, this new season, you got to learn how to trust God and allow him to do it his way. Here's the problem with many of us. And I'm about to bid you favor. God, you want to tell God how to do it. You want to tell God how to do it. He done told you to break off the relationship. He done told you to make moves in ministry. He did it a different way. We're talking about posture and position. You want to tell God why. He told you to break away years ago. You still want to tell him why you need to stay connected. He told you to launch the business years ago. You want to tell him why you can't. He told you to step out in ministry, and walk in your offices in ministry, you want to give every excuse why you don't want to consecrate, why you don't want to sanctify yourself, why you don't want to be set apart, why you don't want to sell yourself out. You still want to stay tied to what's been draining you. You want to stay tied to the yoke of the past. You want to stay tied to the yoke that makes you feel comfortable. Let me help you understand. This new season is going to require sacrifice. This new season, you can't carry the old person in. Okay. I'm just trying to tell you what he said to me. This new season, you can't carry the old person in. I know the old person made you feel comfortable, but you got to posture and position yourself in this new place. You got to posture. That means your attitude has to change. Your approach has to change. Your mindset has to change. How you align has to change. I say it again. You can't have the attitude of the new still being tied to the yoke of the old. You cannot have the attitude of the new still being tied to the yoke of the old. This thing has to be intentional. So when God was really just telling me about being postured, this has to be an intentional. I have to posture myself. I have to position myself. He'll do the work, but I got to do something first. Somebody needs to type, I got to do something first. Somebody just type in the comments, I got to do something first. I got to do something first. He's already aligned the end result. He's already aligned the end result. But you got to position and posture yourself. I'll say it earlier. He cannot pour into something that's polluted. You want him to dump all of these blessings into something that's so polluted that you don't even want to give him all of you. We place such heavy demands on God, but we don't want to sacrifice nothing. I mean, we place a whole bunch of demands on God, but we don't want to sacrifice nothing. I'm just saying. That's all. I just popped on here to talk to y'all just about being postured in position. Just being postured in position. I love each and every. I ain't even paying attention to the comments. I love y'all. Hey, sugar. And so I just wanted to literally just hop on here to just talk to y'all about being postured in position. Just a little talk for today, a few moments to talk. And listen, so I hope that you receive something during today's pour, something that will push you, something that made you think. I posted a reel earlier today is that, as I was leaving the eye doctor's office, getting my checkup, they sent me a message saying that my prescription had changed, my prescription had expired, and I needed to come and get my eyes checked to make sure they were still all right. And as I was leaving the eye doctor, the Lord literally said to me, he said, it's amazing to me that in the natural, you realize that you have to get, that we're still operating off of visions from 10 and 20 years ago. We're still operating in vision that was 10 years ago. When is the last time that you actually went and sat before God, for real, sat before God and said, what is my vision for this season? What vision do you have for me for this season? What am I supposed to do in this season? Not what was I supposed to do 5 years ago. God, refresh me, refill me, renew me, rejuvenate me. What do I need to do today? What do I need to do from this season? So I challenge you. It's time. It's time. It's time. This has to be intentional. This has to be personal. This has to be you. And so listen, make sure, if you haven't already done so, go down there, subscribe to our website, www.shavonnawhitehead.com. You receive an ebook when you do subscribe. And listen, FYI, on July the 29th, I will be doing a empowerment session via Zoom called Be Authentically You, where we will actually toggle through. It's a class that I'm going to do. Registration will open on tomorrow. Again, that date is July the 29th. It will be a class that will be held via Zoom. And the registration will be posted, and all the information is called Be Authentically You, where we're going to tunnel through the steps to help you tap into your authenticity, to realize you are not what you do. What you do does not make you who you are. Who you are makes you what you do. And so you have to be okay with you. And when is the last time that you were okay with you? And so listen, stay connected to us. We'll be back here 2 I won't be, yes, I will be back here next Tuesday because I leave for London on Wednesday. Yes, I will be back here next Tuesday at 1 p.m. our regular time next Tuesday. Hey, boo boo. Our regular time will be next Tuesday, 1 p.m. So make sure if you haven't already done so, like and share this video. If you haven't already done so, like and share this video. And make sure, listen, posture yourself, position yourself. God wants to do some amazing things for each and every one of us, but we got to do something first. He wants to do some amazing things for each and every one of us, but we got to do something first. So I love each and every one of you, and I will make sure that I see you back here. When? Next week, Tuesday at 1 p.m. for Lunchtime Empowerment Talks with Dr. Vaughn. Again, I'm Dr. Shavonna Whitehead. It's always my privilege, my honor, and my pleasure to come and join you every Tuesday. So guess what? Until then, stay postured and stay positioned, and I'll talk to you on next week.